Hey there, everybody.
Oof.
Whew.
Hey.
You know what? I love to see it in the chat tonight. I didn't have to say it. Everybody already knows it. It is Ryan's 40th birthday.
Ooh, wow.
And because of that, he's not going to be joining us.
Because of that, he's in bed somewhere and probably about to hit the bars.
Yep. Actually, he did. He said he actually sent me a text message just as we were starting saying, I am still at Saints, which is a local bar here at St. Matthews that I know Brian probably knows about, some other folks.
Yep.
He goes, I'm not going to make it tonight. And I go, it's not a problem, man. Enjoy your 40th. That is
Cheers to Ryan.
I know.
Cheers is right.
Monumental night. Good for him.
Now, Blake would have made it, but
I agree. I agree. Blake at least would have phoned it in for 5 minutes.
Right.
So we should tell Ryan that he
lost my way through and just hey guys, I'm around me here.
Yeah. So I'm drinking some more rye Ritas. We golfed for the first time today. 10 years we've known each other. This is the first time we've ever golfed together.
Wow.
Yeah, and I will say he might be marginally better than me, but he's no Shooter McGavin. Let's put it that way.
Whoa, hey, Ryan's been telling me he's like, an 8 handicap or something. That's,
is that what it is? All right. Well, go ahead and just go put me on your team then, Coach, because I bet you that I can hang with it.
Okay. That's what we need. Can we add like a day of golfing to Pursuit Palooza this summer? Maybe too
We
hot.
should probably think about it.
By the way,
Yeah,
I've been
good
meaning to
idea.
text you. I've been looking for it in the calendar. I can't find Pursuit Blues. What week is it? What days are they?
It is the second weekend of June. So we are looking at June. What was it?
Like
13th
10th?
and 14th.
13th, 14th.
Oh,
National Bourbon Day
that's-
is going
yeah.
to be Pursuit Palooza.
that's perfect. I might. We haven't really started yet, right? We can talk. I won't say anything. Sorry, never mind. Sorry.
Sure, you can bring it up later. You want to bring it up now? I don't care. This is all hangout time.
Yeah. So I was thinking, I've been trying to create my Club Marzipan hang day for the year, and I was wanting to tie into that so people could do both, maybe.
Yeah.
So awesome.
We can figure it out. Yeah. Might as well. Let's. Who wants a sprint? We can have a marathon. Who wants a 5K when you can do a 10K?
Yep.
I like it.
Not me. I don't know. They just had the Derby 5K and 10K here, and I'm just kind of like, ugh. Well, I'm just glad I don't work out still. It'll catch up to me one day.
Yeah,
Not today, though. Not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today. I'm still drinking
It's not that day.
at 9 p.m. on a Monday. So cheers to fun, right?
Cheers to that.
Yeah. Well, before we get started, Brian, you're in a new spot now, so congratulations on
New
the move.
spot, new gigs. It took my month off. I appreciate that. I missed you guys for that, but enjoying by the park now. We're getting out. Everyone walks their dogs here, so our dog's loving that and barking her damn fool head off at every dog that walks past. So
That's part of it.
she's got some adjusting to do, but it's all good. A lot closer to town, 10 minutes from downtown now. This is all right.
That's good. Good
Awesome.
for you. And then Blake, how's life over you in Florida?
It's good. Yeah, just
You just celebrated a big one too, didn't you?
No, I
With
turned
you and-
40 in September. I'm
No,
still
I'm talking about you and your
big
wife.
anniversary.
You just had like an big anniversary, didn't you?
big 16th anniversary. So
Okay, that's what I
Wow.
thought.
yeah, 16 years seems like a long time. I think we got married when we were 15 and 16. So
Oh,
You must have. That's
Is that what yeah, you guys don't look a shade
looking
over
back,
30.
I'm like, oh my gosh, who let us get married at like 22 and 23? Well, no, yeah, 22 and 23. I guess that's right. But hey, it works out. 16 years, nobody can fault us at this point. Just good decisions were
Just go ahead
made.
and tear that prenup up. It's not even worth it
It's
anymore.
expired.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's,
you ran the course on it. You're good.
I promised to
That's
give her
perfect.
everything I owned when we got married, and so that was like a 12-year-old F-150. I had a little bit of CrossFit equipment and
And a crock pot. Fantastic.
a crock pot. That's about it. Way too many
Uh,
coffee making machines, and called it a day.
Yeah.
What a promising NFL career. That's what she married.
Jeez. I'm still trying to submit my name again to the draft as a former draft classman. I want to go present the Jaguars' next pick, and nobody's taking me up on it just yet. So we'll see.
Somebody will. I wouldn't worry about that. You just got to grow just a little bit.
Yeah,
Just a
Fred,
smidge.
Fred, I got to understand what's going on tonight. It's like you're like the Dark Knight.
Oh, with the lighting,
Yeah, it's like you're just hanging in the darkness, just waiting.
I could turn another
sneak in.
light on. It's just like I don't know. I can't figure out my lights right now.
Okay.
It's just a lighting thing. Here, I'll turn on another light. Let's see if that makes people feel better.
I was just trying to see if this is just a new thing for you. I wasn't trying to.
There we go. Is that better?
You know what? It's always better when you have a little more light on you.
Okay. All right.
But the whiskey geeks are going to be like, just keep showing me more whiskey behind you. That's all they want to care about.
Light up those bottles, Fred. Make 'em
Yes.
shine.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry
All
to
right.
disappoint.
It's all good. You guys ready to get started here?
Someone's got an echo. I don't know if I think it might be you, Kenny, because
Is it?
you guys don't hear an echo?
No.
Test.
No.
1, 2, 3.
Mm-mm.
I'm hearing an echo.
Test. Is it me?
I don't hear an echo off of anybody.
Neither do I.
Hello.
Test.
Swear,
test,
Fred,
1,
if
2,
you
3.
say it's me.
Yeah, I don't know how it could be me, but do you all hear an echo when I talk?
Nope.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Let me see, make sure. Yeah. Okay.
Is it just me putting a ring in the ears and that's all it is?
I'm clicking reduce mic background noise. Did that do anything?
I'll just keep testing. 1, 2, 3.
Test, test, test.
Kate said there is an echo.
Kate says there is an echo. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, Kate, who's echoing?
Yeah, I was about to say, is it moi?
I think it is you, Kenny. Because it's the only time I don't hear an
Last
echo is
Kenny
when you're
can't
talking.
get his audio right.
Blake, why
don't
don't you
you
fly
start
up
with
to
me.
Kentucky and help him out with technology?
Kenny,
Yeah,
next time I'm in the studio.
Well, Kate, if you hear an echo, you got to say, is it Kenny? Is it who? Who is it from?
The suspense.
Yeah, I know. This is becoming too much.
I only hear the echo when I hear it when Blake, Jordan, Brian, and when I talk. Now it's gone.
So all of us. Okay.
Yeah, I don't hear it when Kenny talks.
I got nothing then.
It's gone.
Okay.
Nope.
Right.
Back.
Kate fixed it.
Thanks for working your magic, Kenny.
There we go. Fantastic. I'm glad we all figured that one out. A team effort. Way to go. Y'all ready to kick it off?
Let's do
Let's
it.
roll.
Here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It is another great, brand new episode of Bourbon Pursuit, the official podcast of Bourbon. And this is a Bourbon Community Roundtable. I believe number 105 we're on now. So 105. Congratulations. We're here. Kenny Coleman here. My other co-host, Fred.
Yeah, Fred. Yeah, Fred Minnick here. Man, it's just I just watched Minecraft this past weekend, and I'm wanting to,
Chicken jockey.
Yeah, I will go. Wow, yeah. I'm just like so excited to be here tonight and talk some bourbon. Woo.
Yeah, and we are missing our other third wheel tonight, which is Ryan. I can't believe it. We're on a Bourbon Community Roundtable without him, but he is celebrating his 40th birthday tonight. He had every intention of being on. I was golfing with him earlier, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to go to this bar. I'll be on tonight." We all know that was going to turn out. So he didn't make it.
Words.
Yeah, famous last words. No joke. So no surprising there, but I'm excited that he is there. Having a good time, and that's all I really care about. But with that, we got a few other regulars on here. So, Brian, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, number 105. Sorry to miss that last month. I caught a little bit of it afterwards, but in the new digs, new background, no basement bar yet. So that'll be maybe a year away. I'll build something down there, maybe a new studio. But up in the office, happy to be with you guys.
So when you think of basement bar, what are you thinking though when you think of building this out? Because most people have an idea. They're like, "Oh, I'll build a bourbon theme. I'll do whatever." And you've seen my bar. I know you've seen Nick's bar. You see Fred's shelves behind you. Are you thinking I'm going to keep going with the classic bourbon bar? Or are you thinking I'm going to do something a little bit different?
I think I'm going to have to do something a little different. I think the space is too small for me to have it all exactly the way I want. So I'm going to be sharing some space in the basement. So I'm going to have to figure something else here. And I don't know what it is, but I got time.
What do you mean you're sharing space in the basement?
It's going to be like a family room and, big TV on the wall and cushy couches and all that. So it's more of a bourbon lounge than a bourbon bar.
Okay. So we need multiple bourbon bars is what you're trying to tell me is what it comes down to.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I need more space than that. I need one of those secret door things into my true bourbon, cave. But then I need
members only
I need a whole house for bourbon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of us live in that situation right now where we do have a lot of bottles and we don't know exactly what to do with them all. And we are trying to figure out unique ways of either hiding them or drinking them. And I think that's you're fitting into that right now. I would think if I was to do my bar all over again, I don't know if I would go with what I'm. By the way, I do know if I was to do my bar over again. Remember what everybody always says that if you're like, "Hey, this is how much space you're thinking," double it. No.
Easily.
Triple it.
Easily.
That's exactly what you think about. I know.
Yeah, so I don't think I'll end up with a wall full of bourbon. I think still a lot of it's going to be hidden. I think it's going to be more loungy.
More loungy. What are you going to have? Like bean bags? What kind of lounge are you thinking here?
Well, I'm too old for beanbags, so I'll
Yeah, I
have to
know.
go more.
It's like the lower
yeah.
back just can't get out of those
Yeah,
things.
it just can't get. I mean, I get down that far, I can't get up again. So it's going to have to be comfortable leather, is what I'm thinking. Got to do
I'm
leather.
with the clear glasses. I'm feeling like a 21C vibe, like some nice
Yeah.
modern art,
Modern
just
art on the
Yeah.
modern
penguin
art on the
sitting
walls.
somewhere. I like it.
I think we should just all come with a few cans of spray paint and just go and tag his basement. Like that is modern art, and we'll
That
put it
is.
there, and we're like, hey, it's a bourbon bottle on your wall. It might not look like one, but in our eyes,
But it is.
it is.
Yes.
Or
It's
better
all
yet,
in
we
the-
Every
could
wife really
find
wants is-
homeless people that do it for a living, Kenny, and pay them, and then they can also give that homeless tag smell to Brian's basement. I know
It's
that
even better.
Make it
That's
authentic.
what I've been going for.
Double
nice and
whammy.
local, right?
Yes.
Keep it local,
Yes.
right?
Right.
You're helping your local community. This is all.
That's
It's
what I do.
win-wins all
I
around.
give back.
Small
Yeah.
business.
It truly is. It truly is. Blake, you chimed in. Go ahead.
Yeah, Blake from Sealbox. Always fun to be here. For number 105 in a row. The streak continues. Please don't put it on my birthday in a few months. And although I think my birthday's on a Friday or Saturday, so we're good. We're good. I'll be here for that one. But no, always fun to be here. And thanks for having me back.
For Ryan, I wouldn't move it. For you, I would certainly do it because this is not Ryan's first time missing, but it will be his
feel like
last if
Kenny
he
has
says he
bought
can't make it
into the-
again.
Yeah, I feel like Kenny has bought into the streak even more than I have because there's times I'm like, I don't know. Could we do Sundays? Like, can we do Sunday? Yeah, we can do Sunday. I'm like, oh, I'm not that important, Kenny. I don't bring enough to the show. Like, I will skip. And so it's always appreciated to make the, accommodations when needed.
I want to let you know how important all four of you are to me because there's so many people that go, hey, if one of these guys can't make it, just tap me in, coach. Like, I'll come on. I'll go ahead. I'll take their spot. And I go, sorry, can't do it. Like, we got a rapport. We got a thing. Like, we know how it is. And if you're going to come on, you're probably going to have worse problems with your microphone than Blake. And I can't deal with it. So that's like where I just call it at that point.
It is true. I've seen you kick off celebrities, distillers, and a few in between because they couldn't get their mics, figured out. Like
This man runs a tight ship.
mhm.
It's not. I don't joke around.
I will
I've
say
got to get the podcast out.
there is an unnamed, pretty famous distiller that I would still like to hear his recording, but apparently he had like window fans in the background and like trains coming through and I'm like, I just want to hear the uncut version. Like I want to hear what he has to say. He's like, nope, recording was terrible. I threw it away. I burned the tapes.
Yeah.
Well,
there's been a few of those.
Yeah, and to be fair, the way things have gotten in the past couple of years with AI and post editing, it's gotten actually really well. So a couple weeks ago, we released an episode from back in 2018 because I thought it was long gone. It was dead. There's no way I would ever want to listen to this because of so much background noise. And we're in Bardstown, and we were at the Harrison Smith house, and you could hear people like dropping spoons on the ground. I'm going, this is like the most like god awful thing. This is terrible. Like nobody would ever. But thankfully for AI, it was all masterfully cleaned up. It was actually pretty decent to listen to. So there is potential now if we can't make a recording that I will dig in the archives. I will find something that has never been released before. I will run it through some post production processes and see what we get out of it. So who knows? It might happen tonight if you all don't, keep up with.
If we don't have anything interesting to say, it's like, kind of boring.
Like,
Go to the archives, guys.
Let's find something back from 2018. People actually give a shit about bourbon.
Let's just roll that Blanton's review episode.
That do another one. All right, one more. Jordan, bring it in.
Sure. How's it going, guys? This is Jordan from Breaking Bourbon. We're always thrilled to be here. Looking forward to a good conversation tonight. Great to see your faces. We miss Ryan, but man's turning 40. So
Yes. And Ray put in the chat that said, "Hey, Kenny, did you forget sunscreen while golfing today?" No, I forgot sunscreen yesterday while hanging out with my parents, and I got a little bit sunburned, but sitting out today in the golf course didn't help either. But I will go ahead and jump in with today's topic. So the fun one is that we seen something interesting happen in the past couple of weeks, and that's the return of Wild Turkey 8-year 101. And I'm actually pulling up the press release. I started looking at it, and this is coming from DJ site Rare Bird 101. And hopefully somebody can kind of give me some historical context with this one, because I was trying to figure out when the 8-year age statement dropped and when it actually became an export only and then coming back to import. Because I do remember at some point, because most of the Dusties that I do have are 8-year or 8-year plus 101s. But now we're starting to see the return of 8-year 101, and that could be because of a few different things. One, it's because they have extra stocks available, and we start seeing this become more of a mainstay, because they did say there's not going to be a mainstay product. I'm kind of interesting, before I start kicking off the next part of the conversation, thinking of age statements. I want to kind of get your all's take on this. Do you think that the price of 8-year 101 at $45 will cannibalize the existing 101 product at, maybe $25? Or you think it still has a place?
You know what? I don't give a flying shit, man. I'm just excited it's here. And I just like it. And not only is it here, it's at like $45. And I know the bourbon industry is at a different place than it was like 3 years ago. Man, I know that whiskey, and I know it's going to be awesome. By the way, the age statement went away in the 90s. Like, I want to say like 91 or 92, something like that. And it was one of those age statements that dropped. I obviously was not covering bourbon then, but when people were dropping their age statements in the mid 2000s and 2015, like with Knob Creek, when they dropped their 9-year age statement, they would always point to Wild Turkey, saying like, "Well, Wild Turkey did it, no one cared, and look at how great they're doing." So it was one of those. It was one of those moves that was historical, that, as Brian would like to say, gave precedent for other people to do it. So I hope that this return of the 8-year is going to maybe mean we see some more age statements come back. So, shall we say Jim being black,
Yeah, I would agree. I think Wild Turkey had the advantage of they dropped an age statement before everybody really cared that much about it. It just was a different world in 1992 for bourbon, and they definitely didn't get the blowback of like Elijah Craig dropping their age statement. I mean, shoot, even Eco Rare moving the age statement to the back label, I think, got more or caused more of a ruckus. But no, like Fred said, I mean, an 8-year-old bourbon from Wild Turkey at at $45, it's incredible. But Russell's 10-year, now granted, it's the proof down version, it sits around a lot of places for that or cheaper. So I think they're putting out some great products. I think it would cannibalize more of the Russell's 10-year rather than the non-age stated 101. But I don't know, it's kind of the same thing with whenever they dropped the 101 rye. That was kind of like, oh man, that sucks. And then they brought it back in the 1 liter. But it's just great whiskey. And it's just another great bottle that will probably be one that everybody should have on the shelf. Whether you're mixing it, whether you're just drinking it neat or ice, whatever it is, I think it's going to be one that almost everybody listening to this would want to have a bottle on their shelf. And then, every new bourbon drinker coming in should at least start there and use that as kind of like a jump off point for a bunch of other cool limited releases. So I think it's a really cool thing. I think they'll get a big splash and a lot of great feedback. Granted, it tastes good from the bourbon community, and hopefully that does push some other ones. Jim being black, getting an age statement, Elijah Craig getting an age statement, and who knows what else. I mean, maybe we'll see a few other things have an age statement added to it, but it's definitely a sign of the times. But like we've said in multiple other podcasts, it's a great time to be a drinker in the bourbon world because a lot of great bourbon coming out at really good prices.
I think what's great to see and it is a great bourbon, what's great to see it back in the States, and more importantly, what gets everyone excited about it is where they put the age statement too, right? That is front and center on the label. So, and that goes back to your point too, kind of with Eagle Rare. You can have an age stated bottle, but if it's not front and center and consumers don't see it right on the, right when they catch their eyes, that's all that matters. So I think, Wild Turkey's super smart right there, front and center, dominates it. Small, but you can't miss it. And I think that's what consumers want to see, right? People who, again, we're not the mass market, but people are walking by an aisle going, oh, 8 years old? Okay, that sounds good. $45? That sounds better. 101? It's above 100 proof. That's a great deal. All right, right? Like the trifecta of what consumers want to see. So I think Turkey's smart in bringing it back. I think it's the perfect time to bring it back. Everything's cyclical, but as age statements start to return and prices continue to go up, being under $50 and a really good whiskey, I think they're going to have a really big home run in their hands because of that. And I think people who want the 101 will still buy the 101, but I think most consumers will probably take the age statement because with anything else, somehow in most people's minds, a higher age is the better. So no age or 8 years, well, the 8 years better, right? Like I'll spend the money on it. So kudos to them for bringing it back.
Go ahead, Brian.
I just saw Matt's comment, and that was going to actually be part of mine. I was trying to think, and I didn't go back to listen, didn't have time to do that. Did anyone predict in our predictions this year that this is the year that age statements come back for the brands that lost them because we're not sending to the BRICS countries, and we're forecasting all this other doom and gloom, and we're forecasting the good side of the doom and gloom, which is it's a good time to be a whiskey drinker.
I think Blake.
Kenny, do
I
you
think
remember
Blake
if anyone
said
did
that.
that?
Blake did.
Yeah, I'll take credit for that. I don't know if I actually said it or not, but that definitely sounds like something I'd say. No, I mean, I think we did talk about that on the predictions. But yeah, I think Matt Cusick, we probably just stole some of his predictions, but I'm pretty sure that was mentioned. It may be the first prediction that we've ever gotten right on the roundtable, so we might as well take the the feather in the cap.
We'll take what we can, but that's what it struck me as. In addition to all the obvious, I mean, great news, great price, happy it's there, all that. I mean, I'll just say ditto on all that, but it's probably the tip of the iceberg on things coming back. Blake, to your point, the brands you mentioned, maybe, does Weller need a 15th variety, get the 7 back on the 107 and they'll still have a regular 107. I mean, it's all of them have more bourbon than they know what to do with. And it's all hitting that 6 to 7 to 8 year range. We're going to see more of it. It's I think the future is bright for getting these age statements back on, and happy to have this turkey. I mean, it's getting, frankly, I don't want to sound like a hater, it's getting more buzz than I thought it would. I mean, it's great and all, but it's a preview of coming attractions is what I think it is.
It's interesting. I don't know if you remember this, Brian. But when we were covering this, when they were dropping those age statements 10, 12 years ago, they would say things like, well, it doesn't really matter. We bottle to taste anyway. The age statement's really just a number. And I remember David Wondrich, who's this, James Beard Award winning cocktail writer. He's former Esquire editor, just, in the cocktail space, he's a god. And we were talking one day and he was just like, if the age statements didn't matter, then why were they ever there in the first place? And I just feel like, so many distillers in the last 15 years focus so much on their short wins instead of the long, the long game. And I wonder what would have happened if they focused more on the target of 8 years, because that is the sweet spot for bourbon, right? For most of us. And I was like, what if most people, focus on that as a launch? They was proud of that age statement. You see brands that really focus on age statements, they've been through the roof. Like Michter's, they've built their age stated products up to like being, more coveted than Buffalo Trace. So I just kind of look back at those times when they were making their excuses for dropping the age statements, and now I know, Brian, we are going to see them all come back in a flurry. It's kind of want to be like call up the people who were running the marketing departments back then and be like, "Hey, thought they didn't matter. Why are they coming back?"
You're totally right. We got to find those quotes because they were just finding something to say to spin it, and they knew age statements matter. I mean, I do a lot of the continuing legal eds. I have those COLA slides of the old Charter 8 where it switched from the numeral 8 in the middle and years old, and all of a sudden they leave the 8 and take off the years old. They did the same thing to very old Barton with the 6 year. Of course, numbers mean something. That's why they left it on the neck label without the years old. And we'll laugh about it, but I'm just glad it's coming back because I do like generally an 8 to 10 year whiskey a shit ton better than a 4-year-old.
Mm-hmm. And I would say too, a 23-year-old, like a 8 to 12-year-old, I typically like more than those 23, 25-year-old bourbons.
Yeah, it's rare when a 23 is going to be good.
Well, y'all are getting ahead of the meat of the subject when we talk about do age statements matter, and I think we'll definitely get into that. But let me go ahead and I'll challenge you on a few things here, right? Because I guess we'll go ahead and just jump into the whole does age statements matter? I had some other kind of things I want to say, but let's go ahead now that it's very timely. You talked about Fred. You talked about Michter's. So we talk about the Michter's 10. Michter's 20, Michter's 25. Those are definitely ones that are in high regard of whiskey enthusiasts and stuff like that. But that's let's take this and think of Jim Beam. Let's think of Sazerac. Let's think of all these brands that that's not the engine that pulls the train, though. Right? It's not the brands that are the ones that are the volume plays that consumers actually care about. Right. I mean, we have the ones that the whiskey geeks care about. Right. We have the ones that are the ones that we all chase after. But when we think of what are the brands, what are the labels that actually keep these companies in business, it's not the ones that actually have age statements on them.
Yeah. The big play is always volume. Right. And I think Brown-Forman's is a great case study. I mean, that company lives and dies by Jack Daniel's Black Label. Jim Beam's going to be Jim Beam White Label, and no matter what's happening at Heaven Hill, Evan Williams Black Label still, as you like to say, even though I'm not a big fan of trains, it's the engine that pulls the rest of the train.
It is. I heard tonight that they do couple million cases a year of Evan Williams, and it's insane that and they do it without an age statement.
Yeah, but that's also everyone's fighting to be in the well. That's the and one, the Coke, the ginger ale, the people who are buying it for parties. It's for it's baseball games. It's stuff like that. It's not. Age statements, we're talking, you're talking about going up a notch, right? So we're in baseball season. The Jim Beam White Label, Evan Williams Black Label, those are your middle rotation pitchers. Maybe a fifth starter. The Michter's 10 that's your number one. And like, the 25-year-old, that's likely an all pro, maybe a Hall of Famer kind of thing. So it's not, when we look at age statements, they tend to be something that we covered a little bit more, but how they used to do it back in the old days was that the everyday product would have age statements on it. And like, there was different, people could differentiate in quality on a 6-year-old versus a 4-year-old, because an everyday bourbon back in the day was 6 to 8 years old. It was. And then it went down to 4 years old. And once they got down to the shameful area where they weren't proud to put an age statement on, they just stopped putting it on there. So that's really what it comes down to, is they're not proud of the age it is, so they don't want to put an age statement on, or it's all over the place and they don't want to have to get the federal label approval on it every time.
Well, that, label approval definitely plays a big role into a Fred, but taking a different view on it too. Yeah, it's not the economical engine that drives a brand, but it's a marketing engine, right? Everyone needs an aspirational bottle for consumers to yearn after and want, and just think about, right? And you can compare it to any that we'll focus on Michter's, right? More of a higher end bourbon, I'd say. And their ultra age products are very much falling in the luxury bourbon category. So taking like that similar thought, if you look at like a car company like Porsche, right? When you think of Porsche, think of 911s. That makes up such a small part of their sales. The vast majority is, their SUVs and their Boxster. But people still aspire for a 911. That's why bourbon brands do it, right? You're always going to have a product that consumers can pick up and actually enjoy and use. Age statement, no age statement, they don't care. They just want a bourbon they can sit back and relax with. But when they have a really special occasion, when they have a birthday, when they have a big anniversary, a milestone sale, a career moment, they want something that they can like aspire towards getting, right? And that's where the age statement really matters. That's where those really high age statements matter. Pulling back the everyday age statement, I think it's great for consumers, but I don't think that's going to, really drive much in terms of sales overall. So there's another lens to look at it from just like the non-consumer or the non-bourbon standpoint, and just think about it from more of like a marketing aspirational standpoint too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the interesting thing with all these age statements, when you're looking at like, Jack Daniel's coming out with a 14-year-old age stated whiskey, I think they got a little taste of what that brand could be. It's not just the bottle that's in every well and at every airport and cruise line, whatever it may be. And it's like, does some of that start to cannibalize on some of these other brands who've made a name for themselves doing high age statements or just age stated in general and targeting that premium or that luxury market? Now they're like, hey, we're Brown-Forman, we're Heaven Hill, we should be able to get some of that too. I mean, I think even with the old Fitz, seeing the new 7-year bottled and bond, that was typically a 12, 11, 14-year bottled and bond release in this great decanter bottle. Now it's in a slimmer bottle, but at a 7-year age statement. It's probably still fantastic, but that's going backwards on the age statement side of things. And I think there's a lot of, I don't want to call it grasping at straws, because they see the trends, they see what's going on in the market, and they want to be a part of it. But at the end of the day, and I would say it's not even just the Evan Williams and the Jack Daniels, it's all their other brands really pushing a lot of those distilleries forward. It's their Fireballs, it's their vodka, it's their, handle of, not Tito's because that's a single brand, but handle of whatever that sells. And so I think this is just another part of it. Like, they obviously know, I think it was last year, Jim Beam white label was down like some 200,000 cases. That's, you're like, oh, well, that's the cheapest product, but that's the moneymaker. Like that's do or die on the P&L if you're down that much. So I think they're all looking for, okay, where is the next growth coming from? I don't think they're going to go, oh, here's our new low-cal bourbon. It's at 80 proof and it's half the calories. That doesn't seem like the marketing and targeting like wine is doing and having some success with. So I think it's just about where they're going to find their next niche, and a lower, I won't say lower proof at 101, but just, a reduced proof. It's not cash strength. They can stretch that barrel a little bit more. They can make it affordable. They put an age statement on it. My guess is 101 still had a decent amount of 8-year in it over the past, little bit of time. But, we'll see. I hope they find a niche. I hope it helps. But now it starts to feel like the big guys are going to be cannibalizing on the smaller guys a little more because they saw what worked and now tried to do it. Kenny, you had your hand up.
Well, I got 2 points to kind of say. It was like, one, if you talk about Jim Beam and needing to be able to sell more of it because it wasn't is down 200,000 cases. If we think about what they did in the 70s, if we labeled it 56 months old, would that have made a big difference, right? Because that's what a lot of the decanters all say on it. We look at the wild turkey side of things, and I think to myself, if you say that there was already a bunch of 8-year in there, what does this mean for the current 101? Is it going to completely drop in flavor profile and be a completely different whiskey that has been the baseline for a lot of whiskey nerds out there today? And they're always like, that's always been the barometer, right? People always go, but is it better than 101? And now, if they're going to be removing a lot of the stuff out of there that you think that might have been there before, it's like, well, this is definitely going to be taking it down a few pegs from what it could have been before.
Well, I think we have seen in a different way. You're basically creating the new Coke, worst case scenario, which everyone, in the 80s, new Coke came out and was a flop, and everyone was like, oh, anytime someone that has a major brand comes out with a brand extension that's similar to their mainstay, they're always saying, we don't want new Coke. And I remember when Maker's Mark came out with Maker's 46, that was an enormous concern for them that they created new Coke because, it didn't do like super great, and they had trouble like making it because of the staves would get too hot and it would extract too much, so they had to create the whole cellar thing that they have now. They basically blew up their own little cave at Maker's Mark, and now Maker's Mark still, the regular product is still up 10% in most markets. So, and Maker's 46 is fine. So I don't know if it's the same, but I feel like Wild Turkey and Maker's Mark are very analogous in different ways, because Wild Turkey is the bourbon geek bourbon. Like, there is, you just talk to a casual bourbon fan, Wild Turkey's not in their conversation. The hardcore bourbon fans all gravitate toward Wild Turkey, and those who do not still respect it. So I think that Wild Turkey 101, $20 cheaper, is still going to have a place for those people who are going to be reaching for Wild Turkey 8-year-old 101 instead of, this is the brand I think it may hurt, even though it's still often proof, Rare Breed, or maybe Russell's 10-year. Again, different proofs, and we talked about this, but if it's going to cannibalize anything in that portfolio, it's going to be Rare Breed or one of the Russell's lines. I don't think it's going to hurt regular Wild Turkey. And this could also be, I want to throw this out here as a little conspiracy theory. This could be Campari, maybe setting themselves up to be a little bit more focused on Wild Turkey labels versus the other ones.
One other small, that's actually a really good point. I didn't even think about that, but one other small conspiracy there. Do you think it's them seeing the writing on the wall with tariffs and saying, hey, we sell a lot overseas. If that really slows down, we could be sitting on barrels a little bit longer than expected. Let's go ahead and, move a lot of this through a new 8-year. And I will say, like, Wild Turkey from really 70s to 80s, 8-year is some of my favorite bourbon ever. Like, I would grab that over about any other bottle at that price point, even at the secondary. And it's just fantastic. Now, I don't expect this to be the exact same, but, they could see that starting to slow down a bit. I don't know. Do we have any other good conspiracy theories of why they may have done this? I kind of like this rabbit hole we're going down now.
I'm really excited about both of those, Fred and Blake. I got to start thinking through that.
I would say my biggest conspiracy, I don't even think it's much of a conspiracy, is the fact that they're sitting on a lot of whiskey and they've got to figure out how to sell it. And
come on, Kenny.
One
make it fun. You got to come up with there's a.
You're right.
Come on.
Jimmy is fed up with the company, and he's looking for a way to just go ahead and stick it to Eddie. I have no idea. It's like,
what? that's totally going to get clipped by somebody and
Probably.
shared it at Campari Corporate. So.
No, I mean, honestly, it's kind of, I think it's just the nature of where we are right now. I mean, you can't deny it. Like we're in a little bit of a surplus, and it's hard to say that. There was actually a really good episode I watched from somebody else recently talking about how it's actually not as bad as we think with as much whiskey that's out there, that we will be able to consume all of it in due time. But there is a pulling back of a lot of the larger organizations because they're beholden to stock shares, right? They're beholden to shareholders, and they have to make a profit. If they don't make a profit, they're in deep S, right? And so they have to be sure that they are turning things around very quickly, and they don't have Father Time and Mother Nature, from the words of Freddie, to be able to sit there and wait on and say, like, we will just take care and wait for our whiskey to age and be right, and then we'll release it at the right exact time. No, they have to sell it now. They have to make sure that they are making sure that money's coming in the door, that the people that are holding stocks, that they are making money, because if they're not, then people are selling it, the company's devalued, and then the company goes, I mean, it's just, the whole dominoes start falling at that point. But I would like to say that there was a better conspiracy theory to it, but honestly, I don't think it's beyond that. I just think they have to sell, and they got to make money. They got to get money in the door, and this is one avenue to make it happen.
Yeah, the labels would have, been, the whiskey had been there, the bottles have been there, outside of, some of the language, the tariff thing would have not changed the labels a whole lot, So, I mean, are these bottles are they 700s or 750s? I don't know that detail. Do we know?
I don't know, but you give us a few seconds, I bet you DJ is going to chime in and let us know.
Yeah,
We should have the over under on that.
Yeah. Look, in terms of the state of the, looks like he said 750.
750s.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So then
it was already, it had been the plans.
Meaning they're not European.
Yep.
I mean,
it was in the plans.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would say, all this stuff about, like, the positivity of the market and everything, if we can compare ourselves to 2019, like if we could all go back and say this podcast was happening in 2019, and we said that
actually this podcast was happening in 2019.
Now, well, you know what I mean. This very one right now, we were recording this in 2019. If we went back there and said that 8-year Wild Turkey 101 was coming back for $45, none of us would have believed it. We would have been ecstatic. We'd have been like, "Oh my gosh, it's awesome! The best thing, it's happened to the industry all year." But here we are. There's been some bad stuff. People who were quick money people, private equity types, and impatient investors are pulling their money out. And, a generation that's not even 100% of legal age is not all, passing out drunk like the millennials were. And so the market's like, everyone's, queasy on the market. And so we look at this differently than we would have in 2019. We also had the tariffs in 2019. I just think that the domestic market will eat this up. Someone said it, I think it might have been Jordan, that this is going to hurt a small distiller somewhere. Like, this is going to hurt a craft distiller. That this is the effect of what is happening to the global market will have on us domestically. And it will be fascinating to me. And if anyone in the chat is with us tonight, that supports craft distillers, I would love to know, will you buy one less bottle of craft whiskey because now you can get 8-year 101? I would love to know that. And if you listen to this later on, hit us up. I would love to know, because to me, that is the biggest question of the economies of American whiskey, is what happens to the smaller guys, because they can't get any more money. The only way they can get money is through you.
That's a great segue to the question I wanted to ask Fred. And I mean, we have a small producer, not a distiller, but a small producer on the podcast, right? So Kenny, from flipping the boat and thinking of Pursuit Spirits Two-part question. One, have you guys ever thought, boy, we're really missing the boat by not having an age-stated product? And two, does a release like this make you think, maybe we should have an age-stated product?
I thank you so much, Jordan. I'm so glad you brought us into this.
Anytime.
So here's the thing, and that's why I have this sort of like anti. It's not anti. Don't get me wrong. I'm still a whiskey geek at heart. I love an age date product. I loved seeing a 15 or a 10 or an 8 or whatever on it. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing it, and that's for somebody that's in my position as a whiskey geek, and I'm sure anybody can relate. Yeah, you love to be able to see that. From a producer standpoint, you know, when we started this, we didn't really have the luxury of buying very old bourbon. And when we're planning for the future, well, we only have enough capital to us to be able to make the best judgment to buy the right barrels, the right you can say the mash bill, but you know, you choose the mash bill, but you can say, okay, I want the right stave seasoning, I want this, and I'm going to make the best judgment to make sure that I can buy and make the best product that I can at a younger age. And to be fair, that's what a lot of people do already. I mean, Blanton's has no problem selling, I would guess, 6-year-old whiskey, non-age dated. I don't really know I'm going to guess it's 6. E.H. Taylor, non-age dated. Woodford Double Oak, non-age dated. We can go down the line here. Everything in the Old Forester line, 4 to 6 years old, all non-age dated. There are so many brands that do very, very well that they can create really good whiskey that don't have age statements on them, and people don't care, right? And so would I love to be in the position of being able to buy a bunch of 15-year buff turkeys and doing that? Yeah, that'd be great. But we weren't really in that position a long time ago. And so we are now in a situation that we have to create a really good product without having to do that. And it doesn't, and to be fair, like, I think it looks really dumb to put a 4-year age statement on something. Like, I'm not going to go ahead and do that. Do we have up to 7-year in our blend? Yeah, but you know, you can put something on the back, but you can't say it's 7 years old unless everything is all 7 years in the side of the label. So we have to kind of finesse it a little bit and be able to talk about it. But overall, I still think that if you're able to put a good product in in front of somebody, and they don't have to necessarily be sold based on the number on the label, well, you can create a longer standing brand out of it. And that's, I mean, I think about this from a few different factors. One, it's brand recognition, because if you can create a brand today and you say, I have a 9-year age statement on it, and you're a source brand, that is a nail in the coffin, because you don't know if you don't have a good line on the next round of 9-year age stated barrels. What are you going to do? Well, you got to redo everything from the very beginning, and your brand means absolutely nothing. So what we would have to do is you'd have to go and retell that story. You have to go find new barrels, do whatever. So we made the conscious decision a long, long time ago to say, let's go ahead and let's lock in the flavor profile we want, and we can go ahead and we can recreate this when it gets the 4 to 6, 4 to 7-year-old every single time. So that was really the thought process that I went into it. But I also look at it from, I mean, you look at it from every major producer across all of the top 6 around here. All of their mainstays don't have age statements. It doesn't matter. They create brands that have sticking power, and that is the engine that pulls the train. And that's really kind of what I'm rolling with there.
By the way, Calumet is probably one of the best brands ever to use age statements to their advantage, and they were a source whiskey brand of this new modern era of NDPs. They are great at it. Oh, all right. So once again, DT in the chat.
I've never had Calumet. I've had Pursuit Spirits.
I've never had a good bottle of theirs.
There you go.
Oh, So in terms of
I like-
Pursuit Spirits,
what?
the one thing that we haven't touched on is like the age statement is part of the story. The age statement is a story of the whiskey, and as creators of the whiskey, you dictate the story you want to tell. Some people create the story of my Uncle Bob brought this yeast and across the Atlantic Ocean and toes, stuff like that. Some people have that. Some people say we were the first to use a triple oak stave from Brazil, blessed by the Pope. Whatever. There's a lot of dumb shit that's out there. What you all have done is you've made the story about your process and you guys and the story of this podcast and everything, but it's always been about the creation process and bringing people along the journey. So each bottle is a journey, whereas the story of the whiskey, of an age-stated whiskey, it's catching people in the store that are never going to listen to this podcast, and they see 8 years, and I would like to sit in a store and see if someone who's completely new to the industry, if they choose an 8-year Wild Turkey 101 over Woodford Reserve, which is the same price point. That'd be a fun watch for me. Like to, have those two products side by side and see which one normal consumers buy.
I'll bet you 9 times out of 10, Woodford wins.
I think you're right. I
Yep.
think you're right.
Yep.
I just think it's they ooze luxury and style, and it's just not Wild Turkey, right? I just feel like that's what's going to happen from a consumer standpoint.
Not just that they ooze it, they've focused their dollars on marketing, and they've marketed that way. And they're sponsored the Derby, they're front and center. If you open up GQ, you'll see a Woodford ad. Like, they have put money in making their brand, quote unquote, a more prestigious, higher experience of bourbon drinking.
And that's why Blake has always told me too. He said, I want to feel prestigious. I'm drinking Woodford Reserve.
I wear my ascot only for Woodford Reserve. But I think it is, I think it's just a good point because we say all these different things, but I think there's a market of people who are buying all of the brands we just mentioned, whether we said, oh, they're not going to buy it for this reason, they're not going to buy it for that reason. All of those brands have a market. I think it will be interesting to just see who buys into the Wild Turkey 8-year first. Like I said early on, like I think everybody in this show, everybody in the comments and watching this, listening will probably grab a bottle just because we're like, oh, that's a crazy value. But will the guy who's been buying it for $26 then go and be like, hold on, you want me to pay double just because it says 8 on it? I don't care about that. I'm mixing it with Coke or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I think it'll do well, but I think bourbon is so much more segmented across the board than we really think. And a lot of it is branding, a lot of it is positioning. And at the end of the day, as much as we hate it, it's marketing. Like, are you a good marketer? We've had the debate, who's more important, the salesperson or the master distiller. And it's a slightly unpopular opinion, but a lot of times it's the master, or it's not the master distiller, it's the salesperson, because it's ultimately what makes somebody feel good about their purchase. If they feel good about their purchase, they're going to enjoy the bottle probably a little bit more. And that's where I think bourbon's going to get even more interesting, because it's like, who's going to connect with people, who's going to tell a good story. Blanton's tells an incredible story. It's 6-year-old proof down Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace sits there at a higher age statement for half the price, a third the price, depending on what store you're at. So it's all just different segments and markets and target audiences and stuff above my pay grade that they're trying to hit. And I think this is going to be a really interesting one to see where it fits into the whole portfolio.
But Blake, you get a little horse stopper with Blanton's. I mean, come on now. Come on,
it's horsies.
Exactly. Exactly. Marketing. Hashtag marketing.
Yeah, I'll be interested after trailing 12 months and let's see the trend, if they are looking to replace the regular 101. I mean, is 8-year going to be the standard? and get everybody up to that? Is this the way to get them up to 45 and leave them there, and have fewer of the 4 to 6 year?
My guess is they probably don't know. Yeah, they probably are going to see how this goes. But I think they're probably going to keep both for as long as they can, or as long as they have to.
I was going to say I have a kind of a good follow up to Blake's comment there. Do you think this was a good idea by Wild Turkey, or should they have taken this 8-year and made a different product, a different label, and sold it under that, and completely been like, this is the, they had the Saffel and they had all that other kind of thing. Should they have done something like that instead of the 8-year 101?
I mean, Wild Turkey's still an extremely powerful brand as just a brand. Like you say, Wild Turkey, everybody knows what that is. So, in my mind, that's an incredibly smart way to do it. There's a historical preference. No, I don't know what word. Precedence. There we go. Historical precedence for that 8-year. So, I mean, we've spent the last 40 minutes talking about it. So I would say it's connecting with the whiskey nerds of the world. And if they just called it, something completely random. I mean, Long Branch did good, but is anybody still buying Long Branch? And supposedly that was a lot of Wild Turkey 8-year.
Yeah, but that wasn't age stated, and people didn't really know. I'm just saying, like, you could have made something out of it. And
hey,
we're in a renaissance of reviving a lot of old labels.
Yeah, but if you do that, Kenny, then you can't see if it does raise consumer expectation, and then you can't get rid of the non-age stated version.
There's no way
Kenny,
they would get rid of the bottom shelf 101.
Kitty, you clearly have not been paying attention to Campari the last 10 years, who has changed Wild Turkey's label 5 times.
They have had new glass a lot, haven't they?
I mean, there is no way they were going to do that. And the Saffel, that was awesome. But man, those were one-offs, and they didn't get back to them. So no, man, it was this or getting dumped into regular Wild Turkey, and they're like, you know what?
They are known for doing that shit, Fred. They just dump random stuff into it.
Yeah, I mean, so random. They had to create a whole new product because they screwed up one year with the rye and the bourbon. What was that one called?
Forgiven.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. One of the first Boo Ryes on the market, I think. Did they beat?
I think that
High
was
West
the first one. I think that was the first one.
They may have beaten High West to the
man. It was close. I know this. They were ashamed of it, but they were like, "We have so much, we have to sell it." So,
yeah, we can't give
literally
it
created a category off of it.
Mm-hmm. I know. All right, guys, this has been awesome. We've definitely hit a lot of our minute marks here, and I feel like we could keep talking about this. I know that this was. It felt like an easy topic to talk about because we always want to talk about, do age statements matter, and I think we've hit on this one. This is the second time now in almost 10 years of doing this podcast. We should probably come back to it again, but it definitely means something knowing that we have more influence and knowing what's happening inside the industry. We know exactly what buyers are thinking. We know what we're thinking as enthusiasts ourselves. And so thank you all for coming on and joining this and kind of understanding exactly what we've seen. And I'm glad that 8-year 101 happened to be the catalyst for this movement. And who knows, maybe Elijah Craig 12 will be the next one. We're probably not far along from that.
And Fred will cover it.
Yeah, that one, I don't know. I don't think they'll ever bring that one back. That is a company.
Do.
That's a company that will create a new product.
Yes.
Heaven Hill would create a new product.
Although
it would be a decanter.
Yeah.
They would do something like a decanter.
I sent out the link to the press release of Heaven Hill dropping the Elijah Craig age statement. And I just noticed in the bottom, it's like, in quote from Fred Minnick, "This is like losing a close friend." He's still not over it. All these years later.
I'm still pissed off about that. It was like, I didn't review anything of Elijah Craig for a while after that, and I just was like, I'm not gonna review this small batch. And then I finally got around to tasting it. I was like, oh, you know what? It's pretty good. Yeah. They made up for it by coming out with the barrel proof, which were almost all 12 years. And then when people were picking barrels, everyone was picking the 10 and 11-year-old barrels and not the 12-year barrels. So, I ate a little crow on that, but still, at the end of the day, those little squatty Elijah Craig bottles were great.
Those were good. I miss those bottles.
Yes.
But I did like your coverage of moving it to the back. I mean, you were calling them out on day one, and they're like, no.
Yeah, it is so funny, like how no, we're not going to do that. This is our fine heritage brand, and we would never change.
We're all a little petty at the end of the day, aren't we?
I mean, it's kind of like a coach that says, "Oh no, I'm not going anywhere," and they get called up by someone bigger. Oh yeah, I guess I am going to leave for Alabama. It's just how it is.
Turns out they have more money than y'all. I'm out of here.
Well, y'all, thank you again for coming on tonight. This has been fun. Fred, thank you again for joining. Ryan, happy 40th, even though you're not with us tonight, but I'm sure that you were here in spirit. So let's go ahead and let's round it out. Brian, go ahead, hit us with it.
Yes, happy birthday to Ryan is my lead off right there. Great topic tonight. Enjoyed it. Glad to be back on. Happy 105, everybody.
Yes. Jordan.
Thanks again for having us. Always a fan of coming on the podcast. Looking forward to seeing what consumers do with more age statements in the future. So cheers, fellas.
Yeah. And the man that does age statements so well, because every seal box release has a big old digit. It might be double digits in front of these days. So Blake.
Yeah, just don't want to get confused that we're dropping age statements. They are so even a blind person could see them on the bottle.
It's true. They're about as big as your palm.
Yeah, exactly. Biggest font we're allowed to put on a label. But no, thanks for having me here. I prepared a song of happy birthday for Ryan, but I won't sing it since he's not here. So no, that's always kind of like these topics where it's like we kind of have 1-2 questions and it's like, all right, how are we going to do 45 minutes on this? And then we get rolling and everybody's like, well, what about this? And then this. So this is a fun one. I feel like it was a lot of good insight and information. So thanks for having me.
I knew it was going to be easy. I even had one in my back pocket knowing we were coming into Derby week going, if you had a horse, what would you name it? But at this point, we would just call it age statement.
Should we all sign out? Yeah, it's just going to be called age
statement. That would be a good name for a horse, age statement.
Might as well, right? That sounds like a Derby winner name.
And if it's finished last, we'd just be like, hey, he was going for a better age statement.
Yeah, no.
Well, let's get a syndicate together and buy a Derby horse. I mean, let's just do it.
I think that needs to be done.
Sure. Let's see if my bank loans can go ahead and just start funding more of that.
Can we do a meme coin around a horse called age statement? What's the
if we did a coin, we'd be ready to have a horse tomorrow.
I got a better idea. We've got actually a really cool label here in-house called Roundtable. And so we can go ahead. We'll sell some bourbon called Roundtable. We'll take those funds. We'll buy the horse. And then we'll lose a lot of money in the horse. And then that's kind of how it all goes.
Genius.
It's a write-off.
It's all a write-off. That's where I was
it's
going.
All a write-off. It's perfect. Well, with that, thank you all for joining on. Make sure if you do love the show, support us. Hit the like button if you're here on YouTube. If you are a podcast subscriber, write a review, tell a friend, whatever it is. And if you want to help support the show, help me and my buddy Fred here pay our food bills, our Kroger bills, and put Jordans on our kids' feet. Go support us over on Patreon. It's less than $5 a month. You can go ahead and go do that over there. But with that, cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Toodles.
Cheers. There you go. I love it. You took Ryan's sign off.
Yeah, got to do Ryan.
And by the way, my kids don't wear Jordans.
There's no Jordans in our house. XJR 900s in our house.
Is that what it is? Nice.
No, I don't know, man. My kids got like they don't want new shoes. They want to like have massive holes in their shoes and like duct tape.
Is that a style now?
I don't know. It's either
Remember
that
what-
or they want to
by,
wear
like, 50
or they want to wear
years.
Crocs. You know,
Zoolander.
Oh.
It's derelict.
I've never owned Crocs.
Ain't nothing wrong with Crocs. Just saying.
I've never owned
never gonna-
Crocs, but
Don't do it.
we make our twins have them because I'm like, I swear there are two things I hate, and it's getting them to brush their teeth and put their shoes on. It's a shock to them every morning that we want them to do these two things. I'm like, you know what? Just go to school without your teeth brushed in socks. I mean, I don't care at this point. Just
Get out of the house.
yeah, like, just leave. You're fine. Although, has anybody seen the? I feel like Kenny kind of had a little bit of this tonight. The guy on Instagram where he does like fake influencer, and he'll just be out to dinner with his wife. He's like, he'll bring out his phone. And
You're
start
like,
like,
you're like, what's up,
gang?
guys?
I'm here. Smash the like button. Hit
And
follow.
she's like so embarrassed. She's like, I'm not
Yeah.
doing this.
Like, that is pretty funny, and I wish I would have thought of that because that is amazing. Start doing that to Danielle, like, "Sup, gang? Going live with the Roundtable crew here tonight." And
I mean, you're one step away from doing that anyways, Blake. So
yeah, that's
it's
true.
okay.
That's true. I have been in some random corners of Disney where people
Yes.
thought, like, "What is this weirdo doing?"
Yeah. Why is this guy in the bathroom?
Don't worry, it's
answering
just
the
me
phone?
talking about
He's
bourbon
an
friends on the
influencer.
internet.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
That label on the Wilderness Trail, I'll never forget.
We got to bring that one back for something.
Which one was it? It was like
Is
Internet
the
Friends.
Internet Friends.
Where it
That's
was like
right. Yeah.
the
The
guy
wife
on
is
the
kind of looking
computer.
around the corner.
Yeah.
Did I not show you guys the Roundtable label?
No.
You want to see it?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like
okay. All right, hold on. I got it on my
come
desk
on.
over here.
Yeah,
Oh
Blake,
man,
bring
big
that one back
reveal.
for
This
sure.
is what we should have led the show with.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
Jeez.
it's probably on their other podcasts. Well, Brian, hey man, thanks a lot for the help on the book. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's I just love it, love it, love it. So glad you're doing it.
All right, what do we
All right.
got here?
Can you see this?
Not at all.
Bring it
All
in
right, let me-
closer.
I'll get closer to the camera.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
how that
I won't be able to
works.
hear anything you say, but
No problems. We're not gonna say anything.
We'll just focus.
A little blurry.
Focus.
That's
Oh,
because
wow.
it's really like an old
That's
label,
nice.
right? Like,
That is badass, actually.
You know what would make it better? Oh wait, he needs to come back.
do you need a caricature of me to add on to one of those guys' heads at the
Kenny,
random
label
press?
looks awesome.
Love it.
But you know what's missing, right?
Where's the
An
H
ascot?
Where's the H statement?
yeah, okay. There it is. To be fair, my wife
Kate is
saw
saying that
this.
too. Kate's on fire tonight.
That
My
was
wife saw
good,
this.
dude. That's a good looking label.
Actually,
that was
it is
sharp.
on there. It says it right here. It says this whiskey is 4 years old.
Oh, okay. Well,
See,
not gonna
it's
work
right
It
out.
there.
should have gone with 48
Well,
months.
there you go.
But,
I
uh,
prefer my whiskey to be at least 8. Sorry.
Yeah, and there's 6 guys on there, which is almost apropos.
Yeah, Ed Ryan,
we
we're there.
just had
Yeah.
Ryan. Yeah, this is
Add
great.
Ryan, and then
That's a Tuesday night for a Kenny.
we got to figure out who on the Breaking Bourbon team is going to make the cut. That's all
I
I
win.
say.
That's it. Sorry, Nick. And Ed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Jordan,
You
yeah,
snooze-
Jordan's
you snooze, you
here,
lose.
You know, have
You
we
snooze,
done
you lose.
percentages? Jordan's here, what, 80%?
Yeah, something like that.
See.
I'm probably like 60.
So anyway, there actually is a round table.
That's actually a sharp
label.
looking. That's sharp.
Yeah. When's that
Yeah.
come out?
when are we doing the blend?
We gotta make it happen.
And then we need to do a private pick of the round table. I mean, that has to
Yep.
happen.
is an 86 proof from SS
Ooh.
Pierce Company from Boston, Massachusetts. Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey,
86
4 years old.
proof. I
Yep.
don't know
Whoever
about
the
that.
Boston, Massachusetts baller was, they cranked out a ton of
Mhm.
random labels back
Yes,
in
they
the
did.
day.
Yep.
Yeah, they had all kinds of stuff flowing out of there. I've seen them pop up more on eBay labels than like anybody else, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I bought that one because of obviously this.
Wow.
So I said this
He,
is gonna
he beat
have,
me to it.
Wait, I said
Yeah.
this is gonna have something.
You
at
bought
some
that
point.
label, but Brian followed the trademark, so you'll be paying him on.
Who wins here, right?
That's funny.
All right.
Attorneys
although-
always win. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Are we
y'all
online?
do.
Can I upload
No, we need to end the
Well,
live.
we can go ahead and just go and call it. But thank you, everybody that joined us live tonight. I appreciate it. We had a little bit over 100 people live, which is awesome.
Great.
So glad to see it. But with that, we will see you all here in another month.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Mhm.
Adios.